Bitcoin is up over 10% since the start of Uptober, breaking 126K and making all-time highs. And even though the first 6 days of October have been crazy for Bitcoin, some predict that the next 6 months are going to be even crazier.
All right, since you started with Uptober, yes, seasonally, this is a great month, but the last 5 years, the next 6 months have been good. And I think there's a lot of people who were kind of timing the end of October as the end of the halving time and things were going to get dicey. There's a major story, in my opinion, that's shaping form.
What big story is Jordi Visser talking about? Does this potentially align with the story from Paul Tudor Jones? I didn't have Paul Tudor Jones, the billionaire hedge fund manager, saying that Bitcoin was going to be the big winner between now and the end of the year. Yeah, this is the same Paul Tudor Jones who predicted the boom in '85 when his fund returned 135%. The next year, he returned 99%, and he accurately predicted the crash in 1987, returning 126% for his fund. Yeah, this guy believes that Bitcoin is going to be a big winner.
Yeah, again, we have this race.
Right.
The race, realistically, is certainly to the end of the year. Because that's when everyone marks institutionally. And then you have to figure out what's going to go on in next year.
The race to acquire more Bitcoin is on. We're going to cover some big stories today that take us through the end of the year and what Bitcoin might do in the beginning of 2026. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go.
If you look at the biggest winners, right? The biggest winners are gold. I think it's up 46, 47%. Bitcoin, I want to say it's up 50 or 60. I'm not even sure. There's a Morgan Stanley basket that's a retail flow basket that has all the meme stocks in it. It's up 67, 68%. So it's really what retail jumps on. So crypto, digital gold, that's obviously something that's very, very appealing.
And does that mean you're jumping on all of that right now?
Well, I'd want to have positions in all of it, for sure.
He says that he absolutely wants to have a Bitcoin position. There's one thing that I know about Paul Tudor Jones is that he makes broad bets, whether it's on commodities, whether it's on crypto, whether it's on interest rates cutting, and he takes big positions. And this is exactly how his portfolio is positioned through the end of the year and early into 2026.
Well, what I want to have, I'd want to have a combination of gold, crypto, probably the Nasdaq. I think, I want to say that I've said that before, and I think that's still the right one. And I think whatever the fastest horse is at this point in time probably has a good chance of being that on deck 31.
He wants to own Bitcoin, gold, and the Nasdaq 100. When retail finally hits the markets, he understands that leverage will intensify. And gold is already giving us signs. The boomers and bankers are already bidding up gold, as gold just recently broke through $4,000 an ounce. It's clear we're on the cusp of a structural change, an inflationary change that's being predicted by the smartest money managers across the world, including people like Ken Griffin.
Inflation is substantially above target and substantially above target in all forecasts for next year. I mean, it's part of the reason the dollar's depreciated by about 10% in the first half of this year. It's the single biggest decline in the US dollar in 6 months in 50 years. Gold is at record highs. And the appreciation in other dollar substitutes, to use that word loosely, in items like crypto, for example, is unbelievable. So we're seeing substantial asset inflation away from the dollar as people are looking for ways to effectively de-dollarize or de-risk their portfolios vis-a-vis U.S. sovereign risk.
Are you really seeing that?
No, just check the price of gold.
Well,
I mean, I don't have to look very hard.
That's like a life of its own. Yeah.
What?
It's a life of its own, gold.
No, but it's a life of its own as you see sovereigns around the world, as you see central banks around the world, as you see individual investors around the world go, you know what? I now view gold as a safe harbor asset in a way that the dollar used to be viewed. That's what's really concerning to me. And there's been plenty of published research in recent weeks, months, about foreign investors now, when they buy U.S. equities, hedging the returns back to their local currency. So that, again, is a bifurcation of I'm going to bet on American business, but I want to immunize some of my sovereign exposure to the United States.
The dollar is losing its reserve status and faith in the global financial system. And the smart money is not only hedging with gold, but also with Bitcoin. The numbers that have been flowing into Bitcoin are hard to ignore. Look at iBIT as an example. It's going to reach $100 billion in assets in less than 450 days, almost 4 times faster than the next closest thing, which is VOO. If you look at its revenues, iBIT is now the biggest revenue producing product at BlackRock. It has over tens of thousands of products listed out there in the market. And the next closest products to iBIT in terms of revenue, well, they've been around for 24, 25 years. This Bitcoin thing has been around for less than 2. And the pace of money flowing into Bitcoin is staggering, indicating that this isn't just a fad, that this isn't just hype. Well, there's some people that still believe that Bitcoin is just hype and it has no intrinsic value, like EU chief banker Christine Lagarde.
So can Bitcoin be like a digital form of gold?
Okay.
No.
That's the final answer, right?
Yeah.
Shall we leave it?
You know, I hesitate to say that, but I say it because I have no fear. Because I know that the social media tonight and tomorrow is going to hit me like crazy, because that's the community that they form, and that's the belief that they have, and that's the confidence that they generate amongst themselves. But I still am of the view that there is no intrinsic value and there is no underlying value to it, which doesn't mean to say that there is no hype created as a result, that some can associate with a value, meaning a price, which then moves up and down depending on what happens, who is
Bitcoin isn't hype, Christine. It solves a real problem, Christine. It gives accountability to people like you who have the ability to print unlimited amounts of money. And it's going to benefit the people who own it. The next 6 months for Bitcoin is going to produce even more hype, Christine, because it's going much higher. And analyst Jordi Visser, in his conversation with Anthony Popliano, that's one of the best conversations that I listen to every week. Well, he says that there's some structural things going on in the background that are going to cause the government to print more and more money.
So my mindset that I use with everything is that prices lead narrative. So I focus on what the narratives will be 6 months from now. And to me, it's very obvious. And I'm just going to go through for you kind of what I see happening now that is a major story that we've talked about. So everyone who's watched this all year,
they're educated. They're educated.
None of these are going to be surprising, but I think they're all coming to a head now. So the first one is the job situation. So there's no doubt we have enough data now. It's not just the BLS numbers.
Before we go any further as to what the actual story is, let's thank our sponsors. Ledn has been the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans since 2018, allowing people who stack their Bitcoin to not sell their Bitcoin and unlock liquidity in their Bitcoin by posting it as collateral, which they can borrow up to 50% the loan to value in fiat terms. So, if you want a $4,000 loan, you have to post $8,000 in Bitcoin collateral. The crazy thing about this is it requires no credit check, and the loan started just 12.4%, about half of what you could get for a credit card. Oh, and there is no credit card checks. The fiat will be in your account in less than 6 hours, and the application takes just 2 minutes. The Bitcoin is custodied and not rehypothecated. It's held in cold storage, and you can trust this because they have over 1,000 5-star customer reviews and do a digital proof of reserves to prove they have the Bitcoin that they say that they do. Get started with 0.25% off your first loan by going to learn.ledn.io/simply. to get started. One of the ways that you can protect your Bitcoin as Bitcoin continues to increase in value is by getting a coach. A coach from the Bitcoin way who can teach you how to protect your Bitcoin confidently, safely, privately, and securely. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation with a coach who will walk you through step-by-step how to take self-custody of your generational asset. Go to thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin to get started. All right, let's continue with Jordi's thesis here.
It's all of the soft surveys that I cover in my weekly videos. People feel bad about their job. And regardless of whether it's 100% artificial intelligence, AI has an impact to it. Your brother and I talked about it last week in terms of all of the things that happened in the month of September and how crowdsourcing is now saying that AI is coming. 3 of the 4 largest employers, private sector employees in the United States of America, Walmart, Amazon, and Accenture. Accenture had a big layoff announcement this week. All 3 of them have publicly come out and said they will be laying people off, or they have laid people off. And number 2, that they don't expect to hire anybody in net over the course of the next few years. And they're all saying AI is part of it. There's a bunch of other companies which we don't need to go through, but the pressure is growing on this belief. We had the ADP number this week. It was negative. There's no doubt right now that the job market is an issue. And this feeds into a couple things. Number one, for the jobs market, that means the discontent for people is only going to worsen. So anything disruption-wise that's coming, if people are not able to pay for housing and they can't do this, is going to be an issue, which puts pressure on the administration in a year of the midterm elections. So I don't care what kind of printing goes on. I don't care if it's giving people tax rebates out of the, whatever it is. There's going to be checks going out. There's going to be help on the housing side, because if you want to win elections, and that's the whole thesis that we've talked about in terms of Bitcoin, the discontent in the system, the profit margins are going up and the people are losing their jobs. So this is going to be a story that will only worsen next year because AI agents are coming.
We all know that the BS jobs numbers have been cooked, that Main Street is losing while Wall Street is winning. Profits are rising to record levels, and AI is creating more and more disruption in the market. And so if government officials want to be reelected, well, there's one thing that they have to do: stimulate, stimulate, stimulate. And this is going to create more and more inflation in the market. There's one thing that Americans can agree on, both right wing and left wing. According to this survey, the number one thing that causes concern for people on both sides of the aisle, both parties, is inflation. Inflation is the one thing in America that brings us together. Life gets more unaffordable, the dollar goes less far, the idea of retirement, the American dream, whisk away as the prices of things in that reality get further and further out of reach. And the problem exacerbates as you get further into the cycle. Look at this tweet from Sam Callahan, the new director of research at Orange BTC, which is going public today with my friend Guy Gomez. Congratulations, guys. He posted a snippet from the book, The Dying of Money. And this is prevalent right now because Bitcoin's at all-time highs, the stock market's at all-time highs, home prices at all-time highs, gold is at all-time highs. This is the beginning of an inflationary boom, which is going to create more disparities for the middle and low class. Here's what the quote from the book says. Everyone loves an early inflation. The effects at the beginning of an inflation are all good: booming stock markets and spectacular general prosperity, all in the midst of temporary stable prices. Everyone benefits and no one pays. In the later inflation, everyone pays and no one benefits. That's the future that we're heading to. So I got one question for you over the next 6 months. You got Bitcoin? This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking. And if you haven't done so, please do like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you get value from this content that we put out every single day of the week. Oh, and before you go, I wanted to give you an opportunity to come meet the team and Bitcoiners in real life, because we're going to be down in Dallas, Texas from November 11th through November 13th at the Mining Disrupt Conference, the largest Bitcoin mining expo in the world. Use the promo code SimplyBitcoin for 20% off your ticket. We got you hooked up. Happy Uptober and happy stacking.